first thing is, if you have a three-phase vacuum pump like the one we got here, so let me pull back a little bit. So that's a two-stage CE vacuum pump running on a three-phase converter over here. So the good thing about it is if you got a very tight wood, the pump will slow down and reduce the power consumption. So if we look at this one, we're pulling 35 hertz or so. So it's running at 1000 RPM, 1050 RPM, as you can see. At high speed is going to do about 1800. So if there's a leak, the motor will pick up and to compensate for the air that's coming in. So it's a good way to figure out if you have a leak in the wood, because if you're not running at the lowest speed, which is 1000 RPM over here, it means that you got a leak somewhere. And we're going to simulate one. This wood obviously is very tight, so we're going to simulate a leak just to show you what happens to the phase converter. So we introduce some air in the system, creating a leak, and you can see right away that the speed of the motor will pick up and the RPM is going up also. So, and as soon as it's fixed, you see that the value is dropping right down. So that's the first place to look at. If you don't have a phase converter, then we're going to have to go at the more traditional way.
Hello, I'm Richie Rainville at Knowlton's Gore Maple. Today we're going to try to find some leaks. So when we head to the woods, we bring our CDL vest, we bring a sharp knife, a pair of snips to cut 5/16 with, we have a spinner for wire ties, we have ourselves a collection of different length wire ties from 7-inch to 6-inch, 8-inch. We have a hammer, reseating spouts, some nails to fix our wires on the post if we have something sagging. We have some straight end line connectors, main line connectors. We have some T's for drops. Also bring a few spare drops in case we come across one that squirrels got a hold of. And my trusty duct tape. Also have my two-handed tool. Comes in very handy for fixing a leak quick so we don't introduce too much air. To start off with, we need to isolate a leak. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn these valves off at the booster, one at a time. Now we're going to wait about 30 seconds or so to give time for air to escape if there is a leak. And we're going to slowly start turning them back on, listening for an air and a whoosh for a sign of air. This one flows nice and good, smooth. There's no leaks on it. This one flows nice and smooth, no leaks. Now this one has a good leak on it. You can tell from the sap shooting, the air rushing through. So we got a good one there. Well, the rest of them are all good and smooth, so it appears that number 7 has our leak, and that's where we're going to go looking.
There we go.
So we walk up number 7, come to a saddle, and we see we got a disturbance in the sap. There's no sap in the line. It's freezing up on us, as you can see. So we're going to head up this line and try to figure out what our problem is. We're going to feel our way up the line for squirrel chews, for any type of perforation of the line. We're going to look at the spouts, make sure there's no air coming through. Listen. And there we have the straw pass off. Has the line frozen? So we're going to get that put right back on. We're going to continue to check. Go back down to our main line and see if that took care of our problem. As you can see, the sap is flowing smooth again. There's no air going through, no disturbance. We found it. Here we have some air moving through the 5/16, more than likely coming from one of those large trees. It's getting a little bit older, a little bit porous. It's pulling a little bit of air through. We're going to hold it down. It's going to fill up the loop nicely. The bubble's pretty well stopped moving. So we're going to go up there and see if we got a loose spout. Give it a little tap and seal it up. So come up to this tree. We're going to take the 5/16. We're going to make a little loop with it. Let it fill up with sap. Sitting nice and steady. Flowing good. So we're going to move to another one. This one here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to hold it down. This one seems to be filling up nicely. No air moving through. We'll check this one. Seems to be good. Now this one has a little bit of air that wants to move through. The sap keeps pushing up, the air bubble's trying to push through. There it goes. So we're going to give it a little tap. Tighten it up a little bit. Seems to be good. What we have here is an older tree. It's pulling a little bit of air in through the center of the tree. Sending down some air bubbles here. We're feeding them down through the line. So we're going to give it a tap. We're going to see what that does. Still seems to be sending some air bubbles down through. Now as you can see, started to make a little bit of bacteria from the air coming in. So what we're going to do is we're going to pinch it off. Cut it. Put it on the tee. We're going to mark it so that way we know next year that it was a suspect hole. And we can keep an eye on it when we drill again. We're also going to mark the spout so it doesn't get left in the tree. So here we are checking a loop. We hold it down. We can see the sap is shooting in there. We got air introduced somewheres. It's shooting right up through, kind of like a heartbeat. So, start up through. We're going to feel up through, see if we can't feel a squirrel through. We're going to come up to the first drop. We're going to hold it down, let it fill up with sap. And as you can see, we got air shooting right there. So first thing we're going to do, if you look up, we can see there's a little bit of frost building because it's a colder day. It looks like the drop's not pushed on all the way. We're going to try pushing it on further. We're going to check again. Nice and slow. Just the way it should be. So that was an easy fix right there. The handy thing is the frost on a 39 or cooler day. The cold air going in will freeze the sap in the line. You should be able to find either frost coming out of the spout, or you might see some at the fitting or on the mainline saddle. The squirrel chew will act pretty similar. You'll have a heartbeat in your loop. You walk up through, feel up through, you should be able to see a spot in the line where squirrels chewed it. It could be just a little pinhole. You may not hear it. A lot of leak finding is visual. Watching what the sap's doing. Make sure it's not shooting, there's not air bubbles. And you go and find where your leak is. So here we have a saddle that's leaking. If you look down underneath, you can see the bubbles. You slow down, it shoots. The sap's shooting through, it's not flowing good. So what we're going to do is we're going to tighten it back up. I'm going to throw a couple wire ties on it. Tightens right up. As you can see now, the sap's a lot more steady. Everything stays moving down through. It's not sloshing, it's not shooting. It's no longer leaking. Sap's sitting nice and still. So when we first start out looking for leaks, your first couple of days when the sap's really running good, you're going to go through, you're going to find big leaks, drops missed when tapping, squirrel damage, animal damage on the main lines. Once you get your vacuum up to close to your desired amount, or at your desired amount, and you're starting to look for hertz on the vacuum pump drive, you're going to start looking for your small leaks on saddles, small leaks on fittings, micro leaks, and you're going to be looking for spouts that dry out over time, or leak, or push out and need to be reseated. So start out with your big stuff, get everything pretty well tight, and then start looking for your small micro leaks to get yourself tightened up.